everybody. This is Justin with I'm Your Aid Astrology for another weekly update. So I just finished up a Neptune retrograde video. It's how to survive retrograde with energy clearing tips and tricks. So that should follow this video. So if you want to check that out, I'm offering some really helpful tools from a Reiki perspective, proper way to sage, crossing over energy clearing statements, and also a quick review on what energetic tools we could use to empower ourselves during these times, i.e., whether it's black tourmaline or amethyst or a selenite stick. I wanted to offer some tips and tricks. With all these eclipses, emotions aren't high. I feel with Neptune retrograde, the veil thins greatly. And when there's eclipses on an etheric level, I feel like there's portals that open. And those of us that don't have to build a strong energy foundation, these times we could be penetrated. And right now, or I guess not right now, but I think starting on Wednesday for the next 3 weeks or so, Mars is going to be square with Mercury and Chiron. And that's tough because Mercury's still in retrograde. So our communication's already kind of funky. And Mercury and Chiron, it's be toxic thoughts. It could be, abusive language. And when you talk about that square with Mars and square Mercury, they don't do a good job of thinking before they speak. They're very blunt. They tell it how it is. They say things that maybe people aren't ready to hear, or they need to hear it, but they don't say it gracefully. And it often could come through as judgment. It could be, Mars in general could be very intense, very argumentative, very angry, very aggressive. And then you're talking about that square to Mercury and Chiron. It's communication. It's harmful communication. So one thing I've done to, and you don't all have to do this. The one thing I've done to prep for this is I sent out a message on my Facebook before the 4th of July weekend holiday, because I knew a lot of people would be off and they'd be checking their phones. But I decided to leave Facebook. It's detrimental in some ways to me growing my astrology business and even my other ventures that I'm in. And I don't live anywhere close to family. My family's in Chicago. Most of my friends are in Chicago, and I'm in Idaho. So I'm pretty far away. And it was a really good tool for people to stay connected to me. But for personal reasons, one would say that my beliefs are controversial. What I do for a living is controversial. Then I'll leave my viewpoints off this channel because it's just astrology. But I'm very opinionated with what's happening. And I think that could cause a lot more harm than what my real intention would be, which is just to feed people knowledge and an alternative point of view. I don't want anyone to adopt my way of being. I just want people to maybe stay in the question more and adopt, higher levels of critical thinking. Anyways, I decided to deactivate my Facebook page, and maybe indefinitely. We'll see. And I think with the Mars square Mercury, I feel like this would be something that might not be a bad idea for people to do. One, with Mercury retrograde, information comes through not as gracefully. Things can be misinterpreted. Same goes with email. as humans, we're learning less and less how to communicate. And honestly, the best thing to do right now, communicate is in person. That way, the person can sense your emotions, they can sense your integrity, how you're delivering it. Um, so expect a lot of animosity the next 3 weeks or so. And I know, trust me, um, I've not have seen a year astrologically where I feel like we're just drowning. And there's been very little opportunity for us to come up for air. Um, we really haven't had that at all. There's about a 3-day stretch in August that's really good for the energy. I think August 18th, 19th, and 20th are the best energy days of the entire year of 2020. But if you think about it, that's it. We have been, we're in a lot of pain. We see that in the world. All the anger and the rioting and the protests and the violence. That's just a sign of the amount of trauma we have, how many people are hurt. And with this aspect happening, you talk about Mercury, and then, talking Mercury in Cancer, it's very emotional. They speak with their emotions. You have Mercury in retrograde, which is miscommunication. And then you have the conflict in Mars, aggressive, anger, speaking at the rate of its thoughts. Not, Mercury's in Taurus, you kind of think before you speak. That's not there anymore. I have Mercury in Taurus, thank God. So I try to reserve myself before I delegate my thoughts. So I want to just give a warning. I think a social cleanse in some regard would be helpful. Maybe detach in general. Maybe spend a little more time in isolation, prayer, meditation, spend more time in nature. There's more and more restrictions coming back into the world again as it is. So maybe use that as an excuse to create some boundaries and barriers. For those of you that have to communicate, I want to offer you some advice. Okay. If you work with people one-on-one or you're in business, there's a trick that I use. If any of you have had an astrology reading from me before, there's something that I do in the beginning, and it's called creating a safe container to share. And I learned this through shamanic education. I basically say, at this time, I'm calling in my guides, angels, ascended masters, shamanic helper spirits, ancestors of the highest benevolence, and merge them with XYZ person, guides, angels, ascended masters, shamanic helper spirits, ancestors of the highest benevolence. I'm asking to translate the messages from the stars to this person in a way that they can receive with ease, grace, and glory. I'm asking for the most benevolent outcome. Now, you don't need to do that every time. What I'm getting at is two things. One, before you talk to someone, say energetically, truth. How can I deliver this message in a way that they could receive with ease, grace, and glory? And follow that with, and I'm asking for the most benevolent outcome. What happens is you take your ego out of it and you give up to your higher awareness, an awareness that has already lived your life, knows your future, knows you, and you merge it with that person and you give it up to your guides, and they'll help translate how to speak. You're not giving away your power, you're asking for support, and you won't be so reactive. Another thing, this is more with emails or maybe even talking in person. You just say, thank you for your point of view. I need some time to digest this. I'll respond appropriately. People might be you might feel kind of attacked with their language. I have this in my 7th and 10th house. So, one-on-one relationships, career, business, yuck. And I work with a lot of people one-on-one. So I have to be extra careful. And some of the things I talk to people in their charts are not easy. They might not want to hear it. It's my commitment as an astrologer to deliver the messages objectively. So when you're talking to people with work or your personal life, give up your higher awareness. How can I deliver this message in a way that they can receive? If you are the recipient of harsh language, if it's an email, I used to do this with my property managers when I was in marketing. Property managers are responsible to responding to negative or positive reviews. We'll talk about negative reviews. And a lot of times, property managers, they put a lot of energy into the building. They're very protective of their staff. And I would always tell them, one, it was a policy to respond to reviews within 72 hours. But I always would say, never respond to a negative review in the first 24 hours. Go home, sleep on it, come back, reread it, try to find the words of what the person's really saying. And a lot of it's just acknowledgement. So even if you don't like what you hear, acknowledge the person. I hear you. Thank you for providing me your insight and your point of view. Let me think about this. And I'll respond accordingly shortly. Whether that's through email or whatever, what it is, it takes the emotion out of it. What's emotion? Energy and motion. When you come from a defensive place, Mars people are very defensive. Mars, you talk about Mars, you talk about Aries. Aries is the only sign in the zodiac that will not apologize. It's called ego without consciousness. Okay. I'm not harping on the Aries. We need Aries, right? We need the boots to the ground. We need people that take initiative. We need people that take action. However, if you're an Aries that has conflicting aspects, you can be quite the handful. I know that from experience. Try to be less impulsive. Try to be more graceful during this period, because you're going to create more problems than we have. Like, let's just be real. We are living in unprecedented times. We are at war. We're at a spiritual war. You don't need to be fighting with your loved ones. You don't need to be fighting with your partner. You don't need to be fighting with your best friends. You don't need to be fighting with people on social media. It is the last thing that you need to be doing right now. It's not worth it. If you are the recipient of some harsh language, let it roll off your back. Let it roll. Go into contemplation. Go into journal. Journal, if it was painful, journal your thoughts. Go into meditation and talk to your angels. Just talk. So that's a couple of your real-time energetic principles and ways that you could overcome this next 3 weeks. On a physical, mundane level, maybe it's time to take a social media break. I within my first day of doing it, which was Sunday morning, I canceled my Facebook. And I've noticed just in that short amount of time that I'm able to concentrate more. And I went to bed reading. And it was quite pleasant. From a marketing perspective, people between 18 and 55 years old, they wake up and they turn on their Facebook before they do anything else. Before they scratch their head, before they go to the bathroom, before they brush their teeth, they check their feed. And you can wake up to a lot of anxiety and stress that way. Even just clicking your icon for your Facebook could send a surge of dopamine to your brain. So it was nice waking up this morning and not immediately going to my device. I got up and I doing my second video. So instead of just getting engulfed in all things social media related, I have peace. I have the ability to concentrate, more focused. That's just one day. of being on social media. So I wanted to give this to you as some tips and tricks to survive this period. I don't want to say survive. When you're coming from a place of survival, you're not thriving. How to thrive in Mars Square Mercury. Maybe that's what I'll make my title to this video to be. So again, recap, don't be reactionary, 24-hour rule. If you do respond, ask yourself, truth, how do I deliver this message in a way to the other person that can receive with ease, grace, and glory? I'm asking for the most benevolent outcome. If you are met immediately with someone that's aggressive, acknowledge them, because people just want to be acknowledged right now. Acknowledge their point of view and say, it's very interesting. Thank you for sharing. Let me think about this. I'll get back to you. There's no harm in saying that. We've forgotten how to communicate as a society. If someone has a conflicting belief, conflicted to yours, that's okay. You don't need to save everybody. And who knows if you're wrong as well, or maybe you're right. What is right or wrong? Right or wrong to judgment. It creates limitations. What you'll find is, in this society, no one's effing listening to one another. This is what I believe, F you. This is what I believe, F you. Well, look what we're doing. We're beating the crap out of each other in the streets. It's painful to watch. What happens is if you listen, it opens up a stream of consciousness. And then when you give a retort, since you listen to the person that was speaking, they are more open to listening. And then another stream of consciousness opens up. And then you have communication. So something that we need to practice and put extra focus on now more than ever. So I hope you found this information helpful. Please share your stories in the comments of if you had a situation that's come up and you've used these techniques, how did it benefit you? Because I want people to feel empowered, and I think the more we share, the more we can learn from these experiences in a very Gemini way. Geminis, they learn through life through their own cause and effect actions, and they learn from what they observe from other people. We all have to be kind of like a Gemini right now, right? Also, because I have disabled my social media, I have very few avenues in which to share these videos. Now, I don't make any money from YouTube, nor is that my goal. It's a way to express myself. It's a way to provide some free knowledge and a point of view of what's going on in the stars. I'm still debating how I'm going to do this channel because there's so many great readers out there that give great weekly updates. I just don't want to be just another guy giving updates. So my Neptune and my Neptune retrograde video was more of tips and tricks and some education on how to protect your energy field. This is more of how to respond to these energies. So I might go more that direction. So I feel like this could be helpful. So if you guys wouldn't mind, since I can't share anything, if you wouldn't mind sharing on your own social media networks, if you don't take a pause, or share the YouTube video, I'd appreciate it. Again, my intention is to just share some alternative knowledge, give back some of the ancient wisdom teachings that I've developed and learned throughout my life. So with that being said, yes, I feel there's the more of an awareness that we can create, the more empowerment we have. And maybe my intention for this video is to maybe either disable some conflicting communications coming up, or maybe to avoid conflict altogether. So I just want everyone to see this from a 40,000 foot view, and we're already dealing with some very difficult times. And we're already divided by so many different things right now. It's just, we don't need any more divide. We need to unify. we need to identify the real enemy and who's pulling the strings. And it's not a time to attack loved ones and your business partners right now. So anyways, I hope you receive this video and message with ease, grace, and glory. I'm asking for the most benevolent outcome. This is Justin with I'm Your Aid Astrology. I'm not your coach. I'm not your guru. I'm not your guide. I'm your aid. I'm your angel in disguise. I help you, empower you. Until next time, may you all walk in beauty. Aho.